Hi, in this session we'll be covering products. Please note, if you have an integrated website, please double check with our team before making any edits here, as some of this information may come from your ERP system. Products can have lots of heavily bespoke attributes tied to them, so in this session we'll just be covering the basics. However, if you do have any further questions about your site, please don't hesitate to contact us. To find products, we'll go to Content, and then Products. When we first click into the item type, we're greeted with a list of all items of that type that currently exist. If we're wanting to edit something that already exists, we can find it by searching and then pressing the Edit button in order to jump into it. In this example, I'm going to create a brand new product by pressing Add New. And we're greeted with a list of attributes to fill in. The first field is the name. This will just be the full description for the product. Next up, we have the title. This will display at the top of the page when you click into the product. It's almost an override field. I'll leave this field blank for now. Next up, we have search keywords. This allows you to add other common names for your item so that the internal search within the website can pick up the product more easily. Next up, we have group name. If your product is part of a group, i.e. if it has variations, as we're going to add to this one, we're going to be adding a red and a blue bucket later on, then we want to give it a generic name that the entire range is known by. In this case, I'm just going to call it bucket. And then in a similar fashion, we have a child display name. I'm just going to call this one yellow. So to reiterate, the name is the full product description, the group name is the generic name for the entire range, and then the child display name is for the individual item within that group. Next up, we have a product code. We have a barcode field, if applicable. We also have a product group. This has several features, but the one you'll probably be using it the most for is within our discounting features within the promotion item type. This allows you to group several items together. I'm going to call this cleaning. This would allow us to then go into an item type and apply a promotion to the entire cleaning group. Next up, we have manufacturer's part number, again, if applicable. We have a brand field to fill in. And now we're into the product configuration. We have three options to choose from here. We can make it a standalone product. This is an item that doesn't have any variations. Or we can make it a parent product or a child product. These are what we'll use for our grouping. The way the parent-child system works is you nominate one product in the range to be a parent, and then all other variations you will mark as children and link back to that parent product. Because this is the first one I'm creating, I'm going to mark this as a parent. Now we're into the image attributes for our product. The thumbnail image will appear at the category level. When you press the edit button, you're greeted with the image library where you can navigate through the folder structure to find the image that you're after, or we can just upload a new image, like so. Once the image is uploaded, we can select it from the list. And I want to repeat that process for the main image and the zoom image. The main image is the image that displays on the product page itself, and then the zoom image is a larger variation that will display when the main image is clicked. Next up, we have our options for our flash text. This allows you to put an overlay on the images to display things like offers or other notifications you may want to give the customer. I'm going to call this one sale. And then we can choose the colour of that background. This will use your primary or secondary colour that's in place on your website. Next up, we have a weight field. This can be useful for either displaying on the product or in delivery rate calculations if you wish. I'm going to make this 10, and then weight description is the unit. I'm going to call this grams. Unit of issue. This field will tell you how many of an item that you're actually receiving when you purchase a quantity of 1. So in this case, I'm going to say 200 and call it a box. This would be something like if you were buying a box of screws or something of this nature. Because obviously this is a bucket, we're only getting the one, and we can put each in the description there. Similarly, we have a pack size if you want to display that as well. Unit of issue in pricing will toggle on and off whether we need to multiply the price that you've input by the unit of issue. For instance, if in your system you price items individually, however you sell them in full box quantities, and rather than the user having to order in quantities of 200 each time, you just want them to be able to order in 1, you can tick this on and off and that will change how the pricing affects it. Old price. This allows you to put a discounted price next to the price that displays on the product. This will display with a strike through it and make it clear that it used to be this price and now it is this price. We also have a VAT variant of that as well. The price field should be fairly self-explanatory. That's the price of the product. And then we also have a price inc VAT field as well. Going down from here, we have our price break options. This allows you to make an item cheaper as the user purchases more items. So for instance, if someone were to buy 5, I'm willing to give it to them at a discounted rate of £8. You can continue this up for 5 more levels if you wish. So if they buy a further 10, let's make it £6, and so on and so forth. VAT rate, this is in decimal, so I'm going to set this as 0.2. Override out of stock. This allows you to set a product that will ignore stock levels and be purchasable regardless of how many you have in stock. Stock figure, this is how many of the item you actually have in stock. Lead time. This is in days. By default, this won't do anything. However, it can be used to calculate things like out of stock rules and how messages display. This will be heavily dependent on your website. If you have this information, it's worth entering it. Minimum order quantity. This restricts the user from purchasing only the amount that you hit in this box and upwards. So for instance, I don't particularly feel like delivering a single bucket to somebody. However, if they're purchasing more than 3, I'm more than willing to deliver it to them. Prevent overordering. This is the inverse of the override out of stock. This will prevent users from purchasing more than you have in stock, regardless of any other rules about back ordering. Inquiry form. This removes the Add to Basket button and makes the product inquiry only. Useful for restricted items, items with long lead times, or anything that you don't actually want to sell online. Buying multiples. This restricts the user to only buying the product in set quantities, whereas minimum order quantity will allow you to buy 3, 4, 5 or 6, but not 1 or 2. If we were to set 3 in buying multiple, this will force them to buy in quantities of 3, 6, 9, and so on. We have an option to hide from search. This will stop the product appearing in search results within the website. And then finally, the body text. This is the description for the product. It's a full HTML text editor, so you can copy and paste any formatting in here and it will display. A little tip, if you're copying and pasting in text that has some particularly aggressive formatting on it, you might not want that to copy through. So when pasting in here, if you press Ctrl-Shift-V, that will paste in completely plain text, and then you can go and set the formatting manually using the widgets within here. And then last but not least, show on RSS feed. If you have a Google Shopping feed or any other RSS feed attached to your website, this will determine whether it displays on that feed or not. And from here, we just press save. So now we've created our parent product, but we want to create some variations on this product. As mentioned before, we want to add a red bucket and a blue bucket. So to do this, I press the Add New button, and we repeat the process again. Child items don't require as many attributes as the parent. If you think of the parent item as the landing page the user goes to when they click into the product, all of the things like the text and the images are housed on the parent. For each child, you only need to enter the information that's relevant for purchasing. So we can give it a full name. The group name is already on the parent. We do need to give it a child name in this case, so I'll call that one Red. Whatever product code you like. We can stick it in the same product group, so again, grouping all those discounts and things together. We want to tick this as a child product. This doesn't necessarily need images. This is website dependent. If you do want the image to change when the option is selected, depending on the design, you can add images here, or you can add all of the additional images to the parent and have them display there. Scrolling through, I'm just going to give it a basic price. And hit save. And we'll repeat that process one more time for our blue bucket. Again, remembering to tick child product, applying a price, and hitting save. So we now have our three products independently. What we want to do now is link all of those together and place them somewhere on the website. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the product list, locate my parent product, which if you remember was the yellow bucket, and scroll down to the locations and contents section. So first off, I'm going to link my products together. To do that, I will go select type, product, search for my items, and attach them with a blank class. Products can be linked together in a varying number of ways. The default option is to add them as a product variation. However, you can also add them on as related or alternate products. And then I'm going to repeat that process for my other one. And then finally, I just need to give my product a category. I can do that under the location section by selecting pages. And then from the list, I'm going to choose the products page.